Let me test the audio. Just want to test the audio. The audio is perfect. Okay, so we're going to go live on YouTube. Awesome. So if you guys are ever like logged out of Facebook or whatever, then you can always go watch on YouTube too. Okay, and so the replay will be on YouTube and Facebook. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Today is a fantastic video. We're going to be talking about stimulating the vagus nerve with sound. Now, did you know that your vagus nerve runs definitely down your neck on the left side and the right side? So anatomical lesson, your vagus nerve goes down your neck. That's happens. But did you also know that a part of your vagus nerve goes up into your ear, into this place called the concha? If you look at the thumbnail of this video, I posted a picture of the ear and a portion of it is highlighted. And your vagus nerve runs right here in your actual ear, on your left side and your right side. And so it's right under the skin in your ear. So you can, and many of you probably know, that you can stimulate your vagus nerve in your actual ear, which is pretty cool. So you can do that with electricity, generally speaking. I have a new product coming out soon, just as a heads up, that does ultrasound stimulation in the ear of that exact same spot, and it's way better, I can tell you that. But so you can stimulate the vagus nerve through the skin with either electricity or with other things. But did you know that another part of your vagus nerve also runs into your eardrum, where you hear music? And it also runs into this thing called the saddle. It's a tympanic motor that when you hear certain noises, they will cause your vagus nerve to activate and tighten up so you can hear certain frequencies. So when you hear certain frequencies that are tuned to the vagus nerve, you can actually stimulate your ear properly. And it's usually considered to be equalized music. So if you ever know about music production, or if you've ever had a television set, like the older ones, or a tape deck, you know how on the front of it you'd have like those little knobs that go up and down, or those little sliders? That's called the equalization of the music. And certain engineers, including myself, I'll get to your question in a second, Anna. It's acetylcholine. That's the molecule, acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter of the vagus nerve. Go believe it or not. Anyway, that's what the molecular sign kind of looks like, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of trippy. Anyway, as you're being mesmerized by it, but so certain sounds will activate the vagus nerve in your ear and can calm you down. Oddly enough, the same frequencies in that EQ ladder, you have low frequencies, bass frequencies, boom, 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 middle frequencies, and then like high frequencies. There are certain frequencies that can more activate your vagus nerve than other ones. And here's the funny thing. The same frequencies that are typically emitted from a female's voice are the same ones that can usually activate the vagus nerve. So if you equalize an envelope to be more to increase just the sound around a woman's voice, generally a higher pitched voice, rather than a lower pitched male voice. I'm a man. Oh, look at me. I'm a dumb man. Blah, 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 blah. It's like when a husband and wife or a couple, when they bicker, you know how they kind of make fun of each other, like, oh yeah, I didn't take out the trash this morning. That's like the wife imitating her husband. Oh yeah, I'm too busy watching the game and drinking beer. That's like the typical stereotypical male voice. And then the husband goes, "Oh, I'm too tired cleaning and vacuuming and blah, blah, blah," like that kind of thing. Like you kind of do that. So there's the low frequency voice and then the high frequency voice. And so your vagus nerve generally, more often not will respond to a higher frequency female voice, because that was typically the same tone of voice that was from your mother. I feel bad for kids these days now. Like, is the guy with the beard my mom or my dad? I don't even know anymore. What's that gonna do? I don't know. But whatever. I'm open-minded, you guys. I'm super progressive, and like I love that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. I'm all for it. I'm for the current thing. Whatever the current thing is today, I'm like 100% all about that. But anyways, so the sound of a mother's voice is typically hardwired by your vagus nerve to put your body into a relaxing state. Oddly enough, think of some of the behaviors that we typically associate with motherhood. I'm totally gonna. Is this cancelable? Does this make me crazy for saying this? But when I was growing up, my dad couldn't cook for his life, but my mom would cook. And did you know that when you're eating food and when you're getting ready to eat food, and there's that delicious plate of food on the table and you're smelling it and you start salivating, that means that your vagus nerve is getting ready to digest food. Did you also know, so we know about we talked about this yesterday, the sympathetic vagus nerve, not sympathetic vagus nerve, but the sympathetic fight or flight. We've all heard that before. Did you know that the opposite, the synonym or the antonym of fight or flight is rest and digest? Isn't that cool? Oh, my sound is cutting out. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can try to fix that. I can see the video flickering a little bit, and I have no idea why that's happening. Fight or flight. We've all heard that before. I'm gonna turn down the. I tried changing some things with the streaming. I can just turn down the speed. Let's see. I'm gonna do it down to 2800. I'm just gonna drop the quality a little bit for this one. I don't even know. 5? Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks for that. Okay. That should work. If I still keep cutting out with the sound, just let me know. No issues with Facebook? Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. If you see any issues with that, just let me know. That would be a huge favor, because you don't want to be missing what I'm saying. So good. I'm just going to check the analytics on the video too, just make sure. So anyway, getting back to it. So as far as what we're looking at here, you typically associate a more parasympathetic vagal state with something akin to a relaxed voice, a motherly voice, a soothing voice. And it's no wonder that the terminology used for vagus nerve activation when you're in that good state is called rest and digest. Digest meaning digesting your food. So sounds from your mother's voice induce a vagus nerve response. Honey, when you say, it's always oh my God, my mom would do this when I was a kid. Sterling! I would hear my mom's voice, and I would have a little bit of a both, actually. Tell me if you can relate. You hear one of your parents, your mom, yelling at you. Maybe it's different as a boy than a girl, but I don't know. But you're 9 years old, you're up in your bedroom, you're reading a book in the summer, and you're just like, oh, this is the best sci-fi book I've ever read. Holy cow. And your mom is like, Starling! And you're like, oh my God, either there's food for me, or I'm in trouble, or I need to go mow the lawn. That's typically my response. I'm like, I have mixed emotions, to say the least. Like, am I in trouble? What did I do? So it's not like, these aren't like hard, solid, factual things. Like every time you hear your mother's voice, you're going to feel like, oh, I feel so relaxed, and I'm going to melt into my, oh, my mother's voice. Wow, I feel so relaxed. No, I'm sure plenty of you are like, I hate my mom. Fuck her. So look, I can give generalized things. Some of you, your like vagus nerve doesn't work no matter what you do. Okay. So I get that. But we are trying to at least create some, some referenceable, insights here. So I hope that's helpful. But yeah, basically your mother's voice stimulates your vagus nerve. Okay. Sounds better? Okay, good. Fantastic. I did a little bit of a change here. So, all right. So let's say that we know that sound can stimulate your vagus nerve. Sound is good for you. Music is good for you. How about this, guys and gals in the chat? Can you type into the chat, what is one of your favorite songs? I like to ask clients that a lot. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I forget. But I want to know from you, what is your favorite song? What is a song that really like gets you going, touches something in your soul, in your mind, reminds you that like everything's okay, or you have a sense of longing or like nostalgia or whatever it is? What does that sound like? Let me know what that is. I would love to hear your some of your topics there. So for me, one of my favorite songs, well, I love 80s music. 80s music is like gets me going, even though I was only born in the late 80s. So I'm not like an 80s child. And I never liked the 80s music because I only grew up listening to 90s music because I was actually like a conscious entity during the 90s. And I was listening to like, Chumbawamba and like I saw the sign. I opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Who remembers that song? 1996 from Ace of Base. That's what I grew up listening to. But it wasn't until I was in middle school that I played this video game called Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which is a video game where you drive around and it's like it's a cool game. Maybe one of your kids has it. Imagine by John Lennon. Love that song. Imagine there's no end. It's easy if you try. So I love that song. That's great. Cool. Well, keep them coming, guys. Don't be shy. Share what you like. Share some songs. Or if you're like, yeah, that's mine too, just say that. So I played this video game called Grand Theft Auto when I was in middle school, and on the PlayStation, and you're driving around. Yeah, you're shooting people, but you're running missions, and then you're in Miami, in Miami, Florida, in the 80s, and then it's cool, it's awesome. So, but when you drive around in the car, you listen to the radio, and it's all 80s music. And one of the songs they had, I think, was "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears, or that was like on one of the radio stations, as well as the I just died in your arms tonight. Who knows that one? Cutting Crew, Died in Your Arms Tonight. That was a good song. So many. I could just go, and I wish I could play these songs, but unfortunately, Facebook and YouTube will always copyright strike me if I play music. You don't know how badly I want to play music that we can all groove to on these live videos. But if you join one of our live events that's only on Zoom, we can do a whole freaking dance party with music and vagus nerve stimulation and breathing and learning and having fun and meeting each other. So that's an option, but I can only play music on those. These ones are going to have to be, you're just going to have to imagine the music. Yep. So I like "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears. That's my favorite song ever. I probably listened to it 1,000 times at least. Acting on your best behavior, turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world. Great song. Cool. All right, Jenny, Into the Mystic, Van Morrison. That's a great one. That's so good. George Michael music. I love it. Oh, good. Okay, now you're sending them in. Good. Keep them. This is fun. We can always be like, oh, do I know that song? And if you don't know the song, then go to, open up Spotify afterwards and play some of these songs, listening to them, right? Like I said, I would totally 100% groove out to these songs. But again, I always get them. I've tried, and I get a message from Facebook that says, Sony Music Group has reported your song as containing copyrighted material. and we're going to have you mute your video or delete it. And I'm like, oh my God. It's so annoying. Like, so there'd be entire chunks of this entire live stream just muted. So it would ruin the whole thing. So, song Adila by Elias Duque. Is that like Adila? I don't remember how that one goes. It's like on the tip of my tongue how it goes, but I'll have to listen to it afterwards and remind myself. Let's do this. Let's plan on, in one of our upcoming live videos next week, I'll do my best to listen to these songs and see if I can remember how the tune goes, okay? Because yeah, that one, I think I know what it is, but it's gonna sound terrible if I try to sing it. We got John Denver, The Hawk and the Eagle. I know I've heard it, but I would totally butcher it if I tried to sing it. So good. Okay. So we all have these songs that we can listen to that can put us into a really good state, right? And now when I say state, I don't mean like, California or New York. I mean a state of your mind, of physiology, and of language. So, and this is a really cool concept that you'll learn from the book Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. He's not the only one who ever talked about it, but if you ever go to like a Tony Robbins event, you'll learn about, right, like what is it? State. How do you shift your state? How do you change your state? You'll hear him say that all the time. All right, I'm not going to do a Tony Robbins impression. Maybe I could, but. All right, guys. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do changing your state. And there's 3 things to state. Number 1 is your state in your physiology. That means like what's happening in your body. And then there's also, okay, anyway, I'm going to stop. But that's my very terrible Tony Robbins impression. So state, what is state? State is your bodily physiology. Then there's also another component. It's a trifecta. One is also your focus. What are you focusing on with your reticular activation system? Music has a way of enveloping our focus, correct? Like when I hear, gosh, how many times have I been getting groceries and I hear coming over the radio, dun 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 dun. The first 3 seconds of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, I'm just like, I like drop my basket and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's my favorite song. It has a way of like grabbing my attention, my focus. It controls I allow it to control my physiology because I feel good when I dance. I would encourage each of you, when you listen to that music, like let it move your body. Like just be like, yes, like this is, oh, I want to be in this song. I want to sing in this song. I want to swim through this music. That is allowing it to change your physiology and your focus. Oh, Anna, Rick Astley, any of his songs? Yes, I totally love Rick Astley. And not just his main one, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. So I love that song, but the other ones like Together Forever and Never to Bond. That's a great song too. Rick Astley is fantastic. He's got such a good voice. I'm a connoisseur of 80s music. You'll see that as if we ever talk about music again, I'll probably talk about that again. Anyway, so where was I? So in terms of the music controls and changes your focus. So what do you actively focus on at any one time? When I hear that song coming over the radio, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. If I'm with anybody, I'm like, hey, it's the song. Listen. I'm like, it's like immediate. So it controls, it helps me shift my focus. So if I'm, like if I were in a bad mood, here's a little hint for you. If you ever see me in a bad mood, I know, crazy thought, right? That Sterling Cooley, the venerable, amazing, world-class expert on ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation. I'm a subject matter expert on this stuff, you guys. When regulators from the FDA and approved guys that do regulation of at the Food and Drug Administration need a subject matter expert, shortened for SME. They call me up, they email me, they text me, they say, hey, can you check this out? So that's me. I'm an SME in ultrasound vagus nerve stimulation and have been for 5.5 years now. So God forbid you ever see me in public. Please, I hope that never happens. I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with. I'm not gonna sign things. I just like, if you see me, give me my space. I want to be left alone. I'm not ready for any micro celebrity stuff. So I'm not trying to be famous here. But should you ever see me, and if you see me in a bad mood, get out your phone, open up YouTube, open up Spotify, and search for "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears. The original 80s version. I don't want any remixes. I don't want any like TikTok versions of it that are slowed down or underwater or any of that kind of nonsense. I don't want the Lord remix from 2013. I want the 1985 original vinyl record, 12-inch limited edition version of that song. And if you play that song within any, if I can hear it, if it's an earshot, I'm going to be like, zoom, like that. My brain will go, zoom, just like that. And that is the power of music. And you will take me from maybe not in a good mood or whatever, or just like way too focused in the zone, which I tend to get. That will immediately lift my spirits, put me in a good mood. You'll see me smile. You'll see my eyes light up. You'll see me start going, yeah, I fucking love this song. This is so good. And then also, the third component is that it will modify your language. So there's something about also music. Notice a lot of these songs incorporate words alongside them too. Now, that's actually, so that's awesome. Let's kind of like put a cork in that. That's the other thing. That is really where we get into the risky aspect of music too. So just like yesterday, we talked about, can sound stimulate the vagus nerve? How to do it, the effects, the tools, the whole shebang. We're going to get into that in just a few moments. But key thing to focus on here is that I just said language, which means the lyrics, the words of the songs. How many of us can admit that there are some lyrics to songs that may be catchy or maybe not, or you see other people listening to it and they don't even pay attention to the words in the music? Raise your hand at home. You're like, okay, I've definitely heard songs that have lyrics that are like really depressing, nasty, negative. Like, just how could people listen to that? Right? Raise your hand if you've heard music like that. I certainly have. I hear it not that often because I try to avoid that kind of stuff intentionally. But yeah, who has heard that kind of stuff, right? We all have. And so that is also the other power of music, because it's not just the frequency of the music. Like, you know, is it generally true that your mother's voice can simultaneously, like, yeah, hey, Charlene, good to see you. Sue, yes, you're right. Jenny, all in agreement with that, right? There's music that has lyrics that are like, wow, like, why are you putting that into your brain? That, like, there's no good to any of that, you know? I don't even want to repeat some of that stuff just so people are like, what he's talking about. I'm talking about, you know, violence and drugs and just like, you know, people saying like, my life sucks. Everything sucks. Yeah, man. My life is so bad. I wish I were dead. Like people are like, oh, dude, this song bumps. Man, this song is awesome. Like, no, it's like, that sucks. And then, also, the rhythm can be like discordant. Okay, maybe I sound like such a suburbanite, like super privileged. I get that. But who cringes anytime they hear a car driving through their neighborhood with big, like, boom, 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 boom. you're like, I want to go outside and throw a rock at that car. And if I had something else like a crossbow, I would probably try to like pop their tires or something like that, right? Again, raise your hand if you've heard music that is just like, oh, God, don't want that. Yes, right? Exactly. Candace has heard it, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I live in a really nice neighborhood where I don't get that too often, but it still does happen, you know? It still happens. I'm like, oh my God. I'm Anna, you and me too. I listen to classical music when I'm outside working out, when I'm inside. I try to keep like da na 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 na. I do like violin playing. Like I'm not doing like air guitar. I'm doing like air cello. I'm like rocking out to Bach and like Mozart. Dun 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 dun. Like that's my air cello impression. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of listening to that type of music. It's better for you. Also, there are no lyrics, generally speaking, so you're not at risk of like, what did this artist say in that song that's going to get into my head? Because, you know, it's these zombie, like, I'm going to get into a tirade in here just so you guys know. It's these zombie-like people that are like non-playable characters in a video game, considered called NPCs. If you don't know that term, I'm literally like, I am giving you updated vernacular for modern younger folks. When you see someone mindlessly consuming disgusting music with disgusting lyrics and not even questioning it, they're just saying like, oh, well, everybody's listening to this. This is popular music. This is on TikTok. So, I mean, how bad could it be? There's no way that there's an agenda to like make people who listen to music feel personally depressed so that they can then market to us products that make us feel better. There's no possible way that that could be happening. Duh. And then they go back to their NPC bubble. And when the simulation needs a break, the NPC just sits in their room. I'm half convinced that there are certain people on the planet that are NPC, like basically simulated avatars. Who's with me? I don't know if you're maybe like, this is the craziest rant I've ever heard in my life, or you're like, yes, I've seen that too. Yeah, an NPC. So if you ever play a video game, there are in a video game, there's the main character, the person who is actually playing the story and driving the story forward. And then there are characters that only have very limited programming. So you walk up to them and then a little text box comes up and they, there's a game called Skyrim, which people make fun of a lot. And there's like a man in peasant clothing standing outside of a large Gothic castle, in like some mystical world with dragons and unicorns and all this kind of, it's like a fantasy game. And they're like, "Hello, traveler. Can I help you today? Did you know that I have a basket of apples for 5 gold pieces? Would you like to buy them?" And then it, gives you the option, "Yes, please," or "No, thank you," or "End conversation." So that is the NPC. And you can't have an in-depth conversation with them. By their code, they're literally limited to just having a conversation that's relevant to that one specific thing. And don't go there, guys, okay? Don't even think for a second that I'm talking about people who can only talk about sports or politics or really, beer and bacon. That would be a bridge too far to infer that people who are like only talk about their favorite sports team and the guys in the football jersey on the field, how cool, how tough they were this weekend. Did you see the game? that they're like avatar NPC characters who are only limited by code in a computer simulation to only be able to have dialogue that's extremely limited. I am not at all making any parallels between those two things. No. That's crazy. That's crazy. I would never do that. That'd be too far. Don't you guys agree? That's just too much, and I think that's disrespectful to NPCs to infer that they... Anyway, so that's what an NPC is. Thumbs up if you follow. Do you guys catch my drift? Now, getting back to music, so I'm convinced that NPCs listen to the music. Well, okay, let's skip the NPC. If you get me, you get me. But anyway, there are humans who are programming their brain through the airwaves, receiving air updates of the words that they should be thinking on a day-to-day basis about, I'm depressed and I should drink alcohol and I should do violence against people. This is what the music on the radio, or I should have sex with everybody in sight and I should just not respect my body and God is dead and life is meaningless. But that could have zero connections to then the next advertisement on the radio or on YouTube or on TikTok that says, are you feeling ugly today? Are you not having enough sex today? Well, then it's because you're ugly and you need this and this and this. And blah, 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 blah. It's like, do you feel anxious because your life isn't like the people on Instagram and you don't have six-pack abs and you're a fucking loser? And that makes you feel anxious because you're exposing yourself to network television every single day? Then I've got something for you. It's called Woe Begone, a brand new pill from the pharmaceutical business. And it's going to make you feel really good. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is bombing, killing, war. There's no connection to any of this stuff. There is zero connection. Okay? Not a single... I mean, that would be crazy. That would be totally crazy to say that there's a connection to. Anyway. Yeah, so, okay. Moving on. So, I hope I've made the case that that music can influence your brain and influence your state and influence your vagus nerve. And intentionally, a lot of the stuff that you do listen to, if you're in a different class of person, unlike Jenny and Anna, actually, I'm used to saying Anna because my client in Iceland, she goes by Anna, so my apologies, Anna. If you're in a different class of person, you are listening to lyrical music. I still listen to lyrical music, but like 80s music when it was still good and they weren't like trying to like just destroy your psyche and like mind control you and MK Ultra you with music. I would recommend you listen to like good classical music with no lyrics at a time when they weren't trying to like ear destroy your brain. Okay. So anyway, listen to classical music as one thing that could be helpful. So let's move on. How to stimulate your vagus nerve with music? Well, I would probably recommend like classical music isn't a terrible idea. 80s music isn't a terrible idea. Anything from the last 3 years or 4 or 5 years of musically, that's on the radio, I would personally, now I'm not making a recommendation, but given everything I've said, as far as music that is on the radio, most of it is really good at syncing your vagus nerve. That's one thing. But I again, I want to share another concept with you. It's really important. It'll be really quick. I went to an event years ago called Business Mastery in Las Vegas, run by Tony Robbins, and it's like a 5-day training. It's like, I think you do 18 hours a day. It's awesome. If anybody's been there, you know what's up. But there was one key thing we learned on day one, and it's asking the question, what business are you in? Because it's all for business owners. I'm a business owner myself. I do stuff with ultrasound and engineering and technology and all kinds of cool, crazy shit. So what business are you in? I might be like, well, let's take an example like Ford Motor Company. Let's say you're Henry Ford, and you're making cars. You're like, okay, I'm in the car business. But then they have you ask another question. What's the business that I'm really in? And the business that you're really in to be able to expand would be you'd see yourself not as a car company, but as a transportation company. And then you'd know that you're now in competition now, not with just other car makers, which there weren't really any at the time, but there were also trains, which are more popular than cars. So when Ford went to the Rockefeller companies and the Carnegie family and said, hey, will you buy a controlling stake in Ford Motor Company? They said, no, silly, we're not in the car business, we're in the train business. But had they realized that they're actually in the transportation business, they would have been like, oh, duh, our trains transport goods from one city to the next, and then it's the cars that get the goods from the train station to the warehouses, to the houses, the last 5 miles of delivery. And they could have had literally a controlling stake in Ford Motor Company, but they were like, well, we're not in that business, dummy. So, okay. Then the third question is asking yourself, what business do I need to be in to go even further? So they might be like, well, I don't know, whatever that would be. Food manufacturing or electric cars or whatever. You kind of like start to think ahead. So think about music, okay? So I'm telling you, what business is music in? Music is in the business of music. You listen to it, you have fun, whatever, something happens, and that's it. But if you ask the question, what business is music really in? Music is really in the business of changing the listener's state. And we talked about what state is. So if you missed the majority of this video, then you don't know what I'm talking about. Get here on time next time and you'll be able to catch up because these are long dialogue. And you're going to learn some powerful stuff on these videos. I guarantee it. So, guys, this is going to be the best video you've ever seen all day. Okay? Best live stream probably in your entire life you'll see here today. And that will be the standard for every single video going forward. So music is actually really in the business of changing the listener's state. What else is in the business of changing your state? The news, television news. And think about it. It's got music as the intro. It's got something to focus on. There's a war going and you're going to die. Does that not get your focus pretty quickly? Just like my mom saying, Sterling, means I'm either going to get fed or I'm going to get, actually I'm being a little TMI, but probably whipped on the butt with a spatula. That might be my punishment. It might be utopia or dystopia on the other end of it. So I can guarantee you it gets your attention. It gets your focus. So modern news, television news, on either if it's on your phone or TikTok or Twitter or on the radio or on television, music is actually in the same business of getting your state to shift and to repeatedly stimulate you. So music is actually in the business of vagus nerve stimulation, which is why I'm talking about music and not just implants. Because the dum-dums that work in they're some of the smartest people on the planet. But again, I'm the one who studies the background engineering of business. So I have the purview and the benefit of having, been able to go talk to some pretty cool people. And that's a good thing. That's a good system. You should model successful people like Tony Robbins to see, well, what is he doing right? He's clearly helping people. You may like him, you may not. But he's clearly doing some things that are obviously, there are some things that are modelable. He's not a drug addict in a homeless tent in San Francisco, which I wouldn't follow anything that somebody like that does. So anyway, but yeah, people in my field, generally speaking, when we talk about other vagus nerve stimulation devices, I'm well ahead of them in terms of asking those key questions. Okay, yeah, the first order question would be, what business am I in? Why are you all here? for a matter of fact, because you're like, okay, well, I came here because this is the business of vagus nerve stimulation. And then you go, okay, well, what is that? And that's like stimulating your vagus nerve. But what does that also mean? That means, what business am I really in? And when you ask yourself, what business am I really in? I'm in the business of helping people gain control over their own vagus nerve, which is exactly what music is also attempting to do to you. I'm trying to do the opposite, which is give you the tools so that you have awareness to go, holy shit, that music I'm listening to that is containing really negative concepts is maybe the reason why I can't sleep so well. Maybe that's partially contributing to my anxiety, my depression, my relationship problems, my financial problems, my health problems, my mindset problems. Maybe the things that you're putting into your brain, because music is actually what it really is a way to control your vagus nerve, just like the news is also a way to control your vagus nerve. And then things like burgers at Burger King and McDonald's, which, yum, great. Who doesn't like a good burger? But did you know that those devices, those are stimulation devices too? So I consider myself not to be in the field of just vagus nerve stimulation in this like limited context of like, a device, a thing you go boop and you put it on your neck and you stimulate your vagus nerve. Who fucking cares? Like, it's so boring to just be in that state. Okay. So, the way I see it is that really, truly, I'm in a bigger business than my seeming competitors. You follow me? Like Pulsetto or the Truvaga or these ear clip things or whatever. All these lower level devices see themselves as just devices. And I think that the way that you serve people, like, I'm here to serve people. I'm here to provide valuable services, valuable insights into people's lives and their understanding and their health and all that stuff. There's probably a reason why the group has grown to 23,000 plus people. It's not just because of an accident. It's because I've shown up here pretty consistently and said, like, do this, do this, do this. You'll get these effects. And people do. And they're like, this is fucking awesome. Okay. So anyway, how to use sound to stimulate your vagus nerve is listen to classical music, remove the unfiltered voices that you don't have any idea what went into the influence in writing those lyrics. That's the thing. There's another saying is, I want to ask you this question. And it's a theoretical question, think hard about this. It is kind of a trick question. Okay. So if somebody who is out to get you, who really wanted to hurt you, put only sugar, put a cube of just pure sugar in your coffee, they made a mistake and they picked the wrong thing to put in your coffee. They meant you harm. They actively meant you harm, but they pulled out the wrong sugar cube and it was just a sugar cube and they put it in your coffee without you knowing it. And then you drank the coffee. Pure sugar. They kind of fucked up. They wanted to hurt you, but they accidentally put sugar, just sugar, nothing else, just sugar into your coffee. Ask yourself, what do you taste? What happens? The obvious answer is that you have sweet coffee. That's it. From someone who meant you harm. Now ask yourself the corollary of that. Somebody who you trust, somebody who you think has your best interests in heart, somebody who is famous, somebody who's on television all the time, who's a celebrity, who has men and women alike clamoring after them all day, all night. And there's magazine covers written, their faces on the front of these magazines. They're heralded as this guru, this genius, this person who, can change your life. But that person comes to visit you and they reach into their bag of goodies, and don't ask me why they have this, but they pull out cyanide poison accidentally. They pull out the sugar cube that accidentally wasn't filtered on their end. They made a mistake. The person who is, or maybe it's not even a celebrity who you trust. Maybe it's like your best bud, a parent, a colleague. And they're like, hey, listen to this. Hey, listen to this. And you go, well, I'm not going to vet this. Of course they wouldn't want to do anything bad, right? Of course they would know everything that I just told you about today, right? That person accidentally putting the poison cube into your coffee versus when they wanted to put the sweet cube, they thought it would be helpful for you. They fucked up and they put the cyanide, which is a poison that kills you, just so you know. And they put that cube in your coffee. And then you drink that coffee with the poison in it. But it came from someone who you thought you could trust. You could just take whatever they sent you and just blast it into your brain because, I mean, they must know, right? Everybody else around you, they know the influences. They know about the vagus nerve. They know that like lyrics and songs can actually be like psychologically damaging. That most of the music you're listening to on the radio today and the news that you're listening to in the radio has a specific intended purpose to fuck your mind over so bad that you get so depressed, so anxious, you can't sleep, you feel miserable, but you'll never figure out that the music industry is in the vagus nerve stimulation industry. And the worse you feel, the more you'll do anything you can to feel better. But they're never going to give you the full solution. They're always going to offer you something that just temporarily, I feel like I'm stuck, but I'm still taking in the influences from here and then only focusing on what the tiny little lame ass things. Oh, you know what it is? It's that t-shirt. That's what I need to feel happy. That's the secret, because I saw that celebrity wearing it. Oh my God, it was that kind of car. It was that motorcycle that Tom Cruise was driving in the last Mission Impossible movie. And I saw him as an actor looking really cool and happy. That must be what I need too. And I heard this in a song, and I saw it in a movie, and it's in popular culture. So how wrong could it be? So all of these things influence you, and they absolutely can fuck your brain. So how to remove a lot of the influences. Now let me ask you the final question there. If a best friend gives you a cyanide-laced sugar pill in your coffee, what do you have? You're dead. You are dead. Literally and figuratively. Okay? And some of you do know the story, part of my origin story, part of Sterling's origin story is that, I am 34 years old. I had a twin sister. Emphasis on had. Past tense, yes. I had a sister who was alive at one point. I now have a sister who is dead. And guess what? She had some really good friends that she really thought meant all the best for her and gave her advice and had her listen to music that sounded good. And I got, when I was the one who was handed her MacBook Pro, her 13-inch MacBook Pro that she left behind in her apartment, and I had to figure out how to log into it. And I heard all the music in her iTunes library with lyrics that were so depressing, so discouraging. And that I could see on her iTunes playlist how many times she repeatedly listened to those exact same songs. And the context of what happened to her as well with her friends. And then having her drink alcohol and smoke pot and who knows what else. I I wasn't monitoring her 24/7, but she had some very bad influences, and she was hurting, and she was depressed, very depressed. But she trusted these people, and she would be angry if I ever told her, "Hey, your friends are losers. They don't care about you. They legitimately wouldn't give a fuck if you were dead tomorrow." And for the most part, that was accurate. Yeah, they cried, they went to her funeral, but they didn't do a lot. That's a little too late in the equation to care, I think. So, I don't have a sister anymore because of these exact types of real lived day-to-day influences. Okay. So how do we rise above these influences? Well, what I want to do for you is I want to give you a resource. Okay. So there is a specific type of resource, and yes, it does have something to do with what I'm wearing on my neck. It is certainly highly selected, highly tailored, highly filtered, engineered combinations of exactly what we've talked about today, which is only good non-modern pop BS music combined with the best combinations of words with the right instructions to change your physiology. When you listen to music, you should be moving your body. Ideally, you should be walking outside. Ideally, you should be barefoot and walking on grass, doing it in the daytime, getting sun, taking about 20 minutes or so to walk, and not just to walk and go, boo-hoo, I don't feel good today, but to listen to something that's also going to just as likely put you into a state that is a good mental state. So what I want to share with you is a resource here, which I'm going to put in the chat, and it's a link to something called the Hour of Power. And the Hour of Power is an audio program that I put together. It's free to you. I'm not asking for any money. I'm not asking for anything in return other than that you listen to it first at home. And if it sounds good to you, you'll have the ability. And there's a link to a very affordable $22, something like that, pair of headphones. There's large over-the-ear headphones. There's ones that go around the back of the ear. You'll see them in the document. And you can easily load the sound onto those headphones and make that a habit to have some music, to have some physiology, and to have some focus in your day at the very beginning of the day that puts you into a really good state. And I absolutely guarantee you that in no time at all, you'll start noticing days where you're like, wow, I don't feel bad. I don't feel depressed. I don't feel the anxiety. I'm sleeping well. I have a smile on my face. I feel passionate. I have energy again. These are the practices. These are the influences, the sound-based influences that can help stimulate your vagus nerve. And I'm not gonna blow hot air up your ass, you guys. This isn't like, oh, and I use these secret ancient Tibetan harmonic frequencies of 538 to activate the robust inner channel of your ear to these ancient secret frequencies and shit. No, I'm not. That's bullshit. Okay. Fact is that everybody's ear is different, correct? Is the size of my ear different than your ear? Yeah. And is the inside of your ear different than my ear? Yeah. Most of your ears are probably a little bit smaller than my ears. The size of your ear determines the resonant frequency of music. So how can you go and purchase some MP3 online with the one magical healing resonant frequency that was made once? It would have had to have been specifically tailored to your ear, and that takes time, energy, and a lot of money and a lot of very specialized equipment to do. So you're being sold bullshit if you're buying these like that make you like that, okay? But yes, some of them are good, mostly by luck, mostly by chance. You'll notice that the vast majority, the success rate is like 40% of people who listen to those go like, wow, that was really good. And you're like looking at all the reviews like, wow, 98% of the people in the comments are like, wow, this really worked. You're not seeing the 60% of people who are like, this sounds like whales dying. Like, this is weird shit. So those are very like, there's a lot of bias and selection of who likes those. So what I'm going to do for you is share a program, an audio, a 20-minute audio. It's called The Hour of Power. What it's really supposed to be is you listening to it and then doing a full hour of good practices if you have the time. So you just kind of start your day off with like a walk with music, with affirmations, with the kind of language in your ear going into your vagus nerve to make you feel good, to remind you of what you're grateful for, to start singing, to move your body, to stretch, to walk, to get air. All of these things that we know also stimulate the vagus nerve. To speak words of affirmation, to sing, to hum. You know, again, you can go on a blog post and if I go to Google right now and I say, tell me what are the top 10 ways to stimulate my vagus nerve? Number 1, gargle with water. Number 2, hum a little bit. Humming is good for you. Did you know that if you if you hum, you're gonna vibrate your throat muscles, and that's gonna stimulate your vagus nerve. And then somebody, I think was it Jenny or something like that? I remember who it was, but somebody came in here yesterday and they're like, oh no, it wasn't Jenny, maybe it was, or Michelle or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. They're like, I think I have long COVID and I've been humming or something. Is that enough? I'm like, you were probably poisoned by like a viral bioweapon, okay, an engineered bioweapon, and you're wondering, is the secret trick, the one secret trick that those engineers, those bioengineers didn't see coming, was that if you just hummed to a song that you would best them. Now, you're looking at a bioweapon that intentionally damages the vagus nerve to kill you or at least leave you extremely debilitated. So no, humming is not like the end all be all, okay? But humming can, if combined with breathing and humming and movement and sunlight and grounding and physiology changes and listening to music that feels good in your heart and your soul, and listening to words of affirmation and saying things out loud like, I am so grateful for my health. I am so grateful to be alive. Saying that, but you're not going to see that in the blog post because that's just a little too complex. Because you're like, I just wanted something simple. Can I hum? And then, again, who pays the price? Really? Who pays the price? Is it the person who wrote the blog with the 10 secret tips to stimulating your vagus nerve? Humming, gargling, eating green food. Okay, good. That was awesome. She picked one. She's going to do that for the next 12 months. And then she's going to be like, I don't feel that much better. I feel like there was a ton of people on the internet claiming that they were like really a lot better in a couple weeks. Was I just fucked? Did I just get like hoodwinked and take some advice from a fucking blog post that has zero investment in your success in this at all? Yeah, you did. You did. I know. And it's not your fault. It's their fault because they really don't give a fuck. They don't care. Somebody on a blog post telling someone with long COVID, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, that if you just want to stimulate your vagus nerve, that all you need to do is hum or gargle or, I don't know, listen to rap music or whatever, because music is good. Music is good. When I feel good when I listen to music. When I listen to those violent rap lyrics, I feel really good. And I'm really depressed, and I use a lot of alcohol to numb my emotions, but I like the music I'm listening to. Yeah, this makes sense. This is good. Mm-hmm. I should do. There's a guy I listen to, you guys. If you know the reference, he puts a little thing like a goatee on his. I think he calls him Dale. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, I love rap music, and yes, I happen to drink a lot of alcohol because my emotions are very fucked up, and but there's no connection between the violent lyrics that I listen to on a daily basis and my severe emotional dysregulation. Yeah. Oh, but oh, I heard on the blog post that um if I rub the back of my throat with my pinky and I tickle my uvula, and I gag myself, then I'm stimulating my vagus. I'm stimulating my vagus. Oh, I lost my goatee. Okay. Anyway, so whatever. All right. So let me pull that up right now. I'm gonna get that resource for you. It's called the Hour of Power, and it's freaking awesome. And all the instructions are in there. All the audio is there. The headphones are in there. It's free to you. All the instructions are there. Can I get an amen? Because I know some of you have that on your. Some of you watching have done it. So please, if you can, in the chat, give people an indication. Has this been helpful? Hour of Power guide document. So Candace, I have great news for you. I actually have a lot of clients who do not have a laptop. In that document is a specific triangular MP3 loading device. One end plugs into an iPhone, one end plugs into an Android phone or an iPad or a tablet, and then the other end plugs into the actual headphones themselves. And then you can just transfer from your phone directly onto the device. No computer needed. How cool is that? Now, oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, great. Awesome. So Jada, amen. Sue, yes, and entertaining too. Thank you. And just so you guys know, it's me on the Hour of Power, and it's my voice, and it's my music that I chose. Now, none of the music is copyrighted, so I can put it on YouTube, and I could actually play it right now if you guys wanted. I'm not going to, but the link is there, and I want you to listen to that. So I'm going to pin that there. Thank you, amen, from Jada. Give me a quick second. I want to make sure I get this posted over to YouTube because we have people watching. Let's see. The Hour of Power audio document here. Boom. Just for, the benefit of those people on the YouTube, because we do have people watching on YouTube. Hey, and we're actually going to end pretty soon for YouTubers. So if you want to stay on the tail end bonus part, then I would encourage you to join the Facebook group so you can be part of that and come early and come whatever, but up to you. So yeah, to wrap it up, yes, sound stimulates your vagus nerve. Sound is sound and music and influences that you put into your brain through your ears, when you do it, why you do it, etc., all have a very tangible effect on your vagus nerve. 100%. I hope I've made that very abundantly clear to you. I probably made that abundantly clear to you too, and my apologies for obviously doing that, but it's for your benefit, right? I want you to have so much power in your brain so that little tiny dinky little voice that's like, I could just not do any of this stuff, that you go, no, listen. Sterling said that this was important. I believe what he was saying, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to try it. And what's the worst that could happen? You end up with a really cool sounding audio and a pair of headphones. Fuck yeah, that's awesome. The headphones can be used for whatever you want. Now, disclaimer, do not use these headphones as like don't double these headphones as like a Bluetooth headset to listen to rap music or to, the news. These headphones are selected for a very specific reason, meaning that you will only have that one audio on it. They're $22, right? If you're like, oh, I should put everything on this. No, don't do that. It's $22 to have something that is just very dedicated. It's one single device that's dedicated to being able to put you into a very good state. I do Hour of Power basically every day. I do hour of power, or I do ultra priming. I have 2 practices that I do. We'll talk about ultra priming at another time. But hour of power, if you're just starting with any of this stuff and you want that other influence, and again, you're like, but I came here because I wanted an implanted vagus nerve stimulator. I'm like, dude, I have clients with epilepsy who use the hour of power and they love it because it's the one thing that makes them feel really, really good. I have a client over in the UK whose daughter has severe epilepsy. She has seizures every day. They're like, coma seizures, basically, like almost deadly. She is like, I love the hour of power, and I listen to it every single day. It's something that, like, it makes her happy. It makes a tangible difference in her life. And it's not a $3,000 device. It's not a $16,000 implant. But because, again, you guys, I understand what business I'm really in, okay? And I'm not in the business of selling you some kind of a device that you get on Kickstarter and you put on your neck and you go, like that, okay? Because I'm not in that business. I'm in a bigger business. And my business is also in music and influencing your vagus nerve through non-electrical means, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Great. Well, that wraps it up for today. I expect to be going live again tomorrow with some other subject. If you can join, great. If you can't, that's fine. We'll just be doing this more often. So anyway, great to see you. Thank you so much on YouTube. We'll wrap it up here on YouTube. And also, yeah, if you like these videos and you like that I'm not like selling you pills or some bullshit product, then, and I don't make any money from the sale of that headset, you just get it and because I want to help you, then yeah, like the video. If that's the least you can do, that's great. All right, so thanks YouTube, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.